Coming up on Valley Shore Community News, we'll talk to local emergency personnel about how to stay safe when severe weather strikes.
August 15th to November 1st is the highest probability here in New England, just based upon many weather conditions.
And take a look at a local farmers market and how it strengthens communities.
We want everybody. We want the best for everybody. We want the vendors to do well. We want the people to be happy. And we want people to come into the center of town.
Stay tuned. Valley Shore Community News starts now. Hello and welcome to Valley Shore Community News. I'm Cobi O'Connell. As summer turns into fall, Connecticut enters hurricane season. With severe weather fresh in the minds of residents, preparing for the unexpected is critical. Here's Jimmy Nettleton with some ways to be proactive when severe weather strikes.
I'm here with Don Izzo, Emergency Management Director for the town of Westbrook. He's here to talk to us about the steps that you can take to prepare for summer storm season on the shoreline. Thanks for coming in, Don.
Hi, Jimmy.
So just to start, can you go into really what the role of an emergency management director entails?
Emergency Management Director is an appointed position here in Westbrook, but every town in the state of Connecticut has one, and across the United States. Our job is to prepare for mitigation and working very closely with our town officials, so we have appropriate plans in place. We exercise those plans on a regular basis, and we work with our residents, volunteer agencies, public safety agencies, state and federal agencies, as well as the hospitals and other wonderful people in the community to ensure that we are ready in case a tropical storm or hurricane does affect us, as well as any other type of disaster that could possibly affect us throughout the rest of the year.
In this storm season, this is really one of your big focuses. Right?
Absolutely. August 15th to November 1st is the highest probability here in New England, just based upon many weather conditions. It is traditional, and as we saw over the last 3 years with Tropical Storm Irene coming in late August, and then the following year with Tropical Storm Sandy affecting us in late October. So you have about a 2 to 3 month time period that we have to just watch very carefully, and with some due diligence on everyone's part, we can get through the season.
What most people just hear hurricane, they don't really think about what really makes it so dangerous. You know what it really causes, what the effects it can have.
Right. Now, let's start from the beginning. The weather patterns start off the equator around the African continent, works its way to the west. And depending on many different weather factors will determine whether it dissipates, which could happen a lot of times, or it can continue to gain strength and go over the different islands, and it'll go into the Gulf of Mexico. And then from there, National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center is following these right from the beginning. And we're always forever getting the daily bulletins on them. The software that we have now available today in 2014 is fantastic compared to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But we are watching this, and we know when it's making its path towards Florida and the Carolinas, we are watching it very carefully, and we're getting the news out to our residents. We're working closely with our town and city federal officials because we have learned in the past you just can't start preparing when it comes into New Jersey. You have to watch this thing very carefully. We always hope that it goes out into the North Atlantic, doesn't affect us, that's great. But other times it doesn't. As you know, with weather, she's going to do what she wants to do.
Mm-hmm. With the flooding, the loss of electricity, all the factors, how exactly, what's the main steps in preparing for one of these storms?
Okay. It differs where you live. For instance, folks along the coastline, the biggest danger, believe it or not, for them is storm surge. That's going to be the rise of the tides. We have to watch the tides very carefully, the expected amount of rainfall, and we equate that as well as the low-lying areas. People who are living north off the coastline, for instance, north of Route 1, north of Interstate 95, their potential threats are going to be more tree damage, wires down, Low-lying areas, again, up to the north, again, with water, poor drainage. It's very important that, again, since electricity is important for everybody, we need to ensure that we have significant plans in place. So at moment's notice, you can, if you go without power for 3 to 7, 8 days, you can sustain yourself. And it's not hard to do. That's what we're here to talk about.
What do you think some of the most important items you should have, the most part of your plan in case of a power outage?
Okay. The plan is real easy. Know your threats around your home, as well as your general neighborhood, your town, where do you live. As it relates to the hurricane tropical storm season, obviously we need to look at tree damage, wire damage, and water with any type of storm surge, river runoff, streams that can easily become overflowed, roads that could be easily blocked, and that's through some past experience with past storms. If people do not feel safe, they should not stay home. They should stay with friends or family, and go to an area that does not have that's not more prone to the threats, like along the shoreline. Then we get into what's called our disaster kit. Extremely important. This kit should have the significant items in there that are going to be important for everybody. Everyone's kit's going to be a little bit different. Kits should be tailored, whether you have children, elderly, special needs, and as that relates to food, medication. But water is important. Non-perishable food is crucial here. So we're not trying to save what's inside the freezer, what's inside the refrigerator. We all know about the dangers of spoiled food when the temperatures are not appropriate for those different types of foods. But our disaster kits are key. And we're not talking about the zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the world ending. This is appropriate supply of food for 5 to 7 days. We know the national level likes to promote the 2 to 3 days, but given the past events of Irene and Sandy and how long power was out for, we've decided that the 5 to 7 days is much more appropriate. And a lot of it is just basic sense. It's cooking off the gas grill, boxed cereal, canned foods, peanut butter and jelly, appropriate bread products. You'd be amazed at what you can cook. For those who are the camping enthusiasts, we've learned a lot, and we've been sharing those ideas. They seem to have a nice handle on how to prepare foods without using the typical electric range, and it works out fine.
Besides the food and the water, what do you think the number one item is, the most important thing that people usually forget that they should have?
Well, people always forget about that when power goes out. ATMs are not working, so you're not going to be able to draw money. Most banks are closed. Retail stores sometimes will stay open, and they'll go on a cash-by-cash basis for different items. As you can see in there, a radio is extremely important, the AM/FM radio, to learn, because without electricity, your cable TV is not going to be working. Dish networks, if you don't have a generator on your house, you're not going to have TV. So your next line of defense is the radio, AM/FM radio. And as emergency managers, we are constantly broadcasting that information to all of the local radio stations. And we want them to get our message out of where our shelters are, where supplies are, what's going on in the community as it relates to. Flashlights are extremely important. We ask everyone to please refrain from using candles. That is an extreme fire hazard. We have found that the flashlights work great. Light sticks are fantastic. They go for about 12 hours. They're cool to the touch. They're not hazardous. They're very affordable. They can be found at any local retail establishment, online, in the camping supply area. And 2 or 3 light sticks can light up a nice room. And if you have a box of those, box of 12, then you're good for a couple of days. And unlike batteries, you don't have to worry about them breaking open. But as you can see there, that's an excellent kit to start off with. And but as I stated, everyone has to go through what your family needs are. Mm-hmm. Young children, you will have to ensure that you have diapers, wipes, formula for them. And as the kids get older, you modify your plan. One of the things that we've always asked everyone to consider in their emergency kits is on the downtime, since there is no TV, that everyone should consider board games, card games, books for younger children, coloring books, you know, so that toy that's no longer being used. Put it away, put it inside that disaster kit. A lot of people have asked, where do I store my kit? What do I put everything in? And we simply say, keep it in a nice Rubbermaid sealed container, keep it in the basement, let everyone know where that disaster kit is, mark it on the outside. Obviously in the winter time for winter storms, it always helps to have a smaller kit inside your vehicle at all times. And everyone, again, should know where that is. On a yearly basis, go through the kit. If anything is expired, if water has expired or food, take it out, dispose of it appropriately, replenish it with something new.
You mentioned the shelters before. Does this part of the towns in general have a shelter?
Right. The American Red Cross will open up what's called regional shelters across Connecticut. We will broadcast that information out. But each town has its choice if they so choose to open up its own shelter. And there are two types of shelters. There's what's called a pre-storm shelter and the post-storm. Pre-storm is obviously the storm is coming in. We want to offer a safe haven for our residents, visitors, for any stranded motorists. And we bring everyone into a school, and the school is locked down into certain areas, only into safe areas of the school where everybody can temporarily stay. When the storm is past and it's safe to travel, we'll let everyone know. They can leave, they can go back home, they can assess their damage, and based upon the conditions of the town, we may have to reopen that same school for a post-storm shelter. And it differs between every single town, but the schools that we choose have generators, so people are encouraged to bring their cell phones, their cell phone chargers, their laptop, their iPod, and iPad devices and other electronic devices, so they can send out email to friends and family. It's very important to let the families know, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Is there any website, any site you really find reliable about upcoming storms affecting this area?
Your favorite search engine through Google or Bing, you can always search through the National Hurricane Center. The National Weather Center always has updates upon the different storms in the Atlantic and the Pacific. The FEMA.gov, ready.gov have a tremendous amount of information for everybody to review. I know our website at www.westbrookem.com has complete information on the town of Westbrook, as well as if something is going on, we will post information there. Social media is very, very important. We use Facebook and Twitter on a regular basis, and we encourage all of our residents and visitors to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for regular updates.
Right.
Food, friends, entertainment, and nice weather. It's farmers market season. Started as a way to bring people together, farmers markets are growing in towns all around us. Producers John Abbott and Chris Morgan highlight the Higganum Village Farmers Market.
I'm Gail Reynolds. I'm the manager of the market here. This is my 5th year doing it. We do 3:30 to 6:30 on Fridays through the end of October. We have generally the full complement of vendors each week. We have a few who come once a month or every other week, but most are here every week.
We participate in the Higganum Farmers Market for many reasons. Number one, my husband grew up in Haddon and has lived here all his life, and it's very important for us to sell our products locally because we feel the goal of owning a small farm is to deliver the product to our friends and neighbors and the local community.
The best part about being at the farmers market is communicating with people who are actually going to be eating the food that you grew and talking about how to cook stuff, how we grew it, how they're going to cook it, ideas, and it's a constant free-flowing exchange of opinions and ideas and philosophies. That's really neat. And I see all my CSA members here. I see students of mine from when I was a teacher here. I see classmates from when I went to school right here in town. I'm a local.
There's been some vendor turnover since the first year or two, but I think now the past few years we've had anchor vendors. Especially we have four produce farms. That's about what we can support here.
A perfect example of what you'd find in a farmer's market versus a grocery store is those radishes. I picked those an hour ago. And I washed them and I brought them here. Bunched them, washed them, brought them here. So, I mean, you're never going to get anything fresher. A lot of the products that we're growing with organic seed. We use mostly organic methods. We're not certified organic, but we do not use chemicals. We do not use pesticides. We don't spray. And all of our seed that we grow from is non-GMO. And we know that's very important to a lot of folks these days. And we're very proud to do that.
Local businesses should, in any way they can, give back. And I'm not really giving back. I mean, I'm not giving the stuff away for free, but I'm still supporting the farmers market. And the more support it gets, farmers markets tend to be like snowballs. The more you add to it, the more people want to join them. So that early support is really important. So the more vendors that join, the more attractive it becomes to more outside vendors, and that's how, you know, farmers markets go from 3 vendors to like Coventry's 70 or 80 that they typically have.
There are other farmers markets. I haven't been to all of them. A lot of it is setting, like Durham has one on Thursday evening. They're on the Durham Green, and they're right on Route 17. It's a little flatter there. They're similar to us, I would say, the same. In fact, some of the vendors do both. Chester has a big farmers market. They're on Sunday morning, and because they have this little village center with all the shops and everything, they close off the streets and have the farmers set up right on the streets. And that's very popular. Ivoryton has a farmers market by the Ivoryton Playhouse on the lawn there, and I haven't been there in a few years, but that's similar to this as well. We want everybody. We want the best for everybody. We want the vendors to do well. We want the people to be happy. And we want people to come into the center of town. Every Friday from 3:30 to 6:30.
If you're interested in attending or becoming involved with your local farmers market, visit your town's website for more information. Are you a student in one of our 9 towns that would like to get involved with Valley Shore Community News and other exciting productions? Join VSC TV's High School TV Club. Call 860-399-1857 or visit vsctv.com to learn more. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Valley Shore Community News. I'm Cobi O'Connell. We'll see you next time.